Good afternoon. Everybody ready for pop quiz? How many of you think we have a sound economy?
No!
Well, I don't understand, because if you guys all know that, how come your legislators don't?
You're in a whole stop singing.
Haven't you told them? I guess that's what we're here for today. So what makes an economy sound? It's obvious our legislators haven't a clue about that, but it's really pretty simple. Production. To have a healthy economy, you have to produce at least as much as you consume, and preferably more. For the first 200 years, this nation had not just a healthy economy, but a thriving economy. We went from a handful of rebellious colonies to the richest and most powerful nation in the world. Why? Because America led the world in production. America delivered the goods. But in the last 35 years, unfortunately, that has changed. Every year since 1975, we have had a trade deficit. That means we have consumed more than we produced. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that that is not sustainable. But our legislators don't seem to know that. Look at your own budget. What would happen to you if year after year you spent more than you made? After you maxed out your credit cards and your home was foreclosed, you'd go into bankruptcy and all your remaining assets would be divided among your creditors. So what's going to happen to America if we continue to persist in the unsustainable fiscal policies that we're doing? Our biggest creditor is China. Think about that for a minute. So how do we reverse this trend? How do we restore America to its proper place in the world? First, we have to cut spending, but our congressmen are not willing to do that. And even if we eliminated spending, that's only half the battle. We cannot restore our national solvency without increasing production. So what is production? The three elements of production: capital, labor, and raw materials. First, you have to have capital for research and development. It takes a lot of research to develop a product that meets a market need, and it can take years to develop it. And research and development is extremely expensive, and there is no guarantee of success. You'd have to be crazy to risk your capital unless there was a tremendous potential for return on that investment. And that is what our current administration calls excessive profits. And they have this notion that excessive profits should be punitively taxed. So what happens when you put a lid on the return on potential investment? Your investors take their capital and they invest it someplace else, someplace that welcomes production, someplace that wants to build up their economy and employ their citizens. I don't know why we don't want that. The second thing that you need for production is raw materials, because everything that's produced is made out of something. Either wood, metal, fiber, textiles, petroleum products. Nothing is produced out of thin air. And all raw materials ultimately come from the earth, either from timber, mining, or agriculture. Here in Josephine County, we live in one of the richest areas in the country in terms of natural resources. We are rich in timber. We are rich in minerals. But if Josephine County is so rich, why is it so poor? Why do we have such high unemployment? It's because we are not allowed to use the abundant natural resources with which we are blessed. Overregulation has all but crippled the timber and mining industries. The very industries that produce the raw materials that are the basis for all the production that sustains our economy. And it's not just raw materials where overregulation is having an effect. It's also crippling the manufacturing industries. So the third thing that you need for production is you need labor. Well, we've got a surplus of that. Look at our unemployment numbers. But the problem is that our jobs in the private sector are steadily declining because excessive regulation and punitive taxation are stymieing our industries and driving them offshore. So what does the government do about that? They try to replace the jobs that are lost due to diminished production with public sector jobs. The trouble is, public sector jobs do nothing to restore national productivity.
That's right.
They are paid with our tax dollars, and they are a drain on the economy. Those jobs do not create new wealth. All they do is swirl wealth around in the economy. And as that money is swirled around, more and more of it leaks out to other countries as we buy foreign-made products because we can't or don't produce enough at home. And that goes back to our 35 years of trade deficits, that we're consuming more than we're producing. Here in Josephine County, we had an industry that not only employed our citizens, but provided raw materials for goods produced all over the nation. Now, we import timber from Canada and China while our citizens here at home are unemployed. And what are our legislators doing about that? Well, they're proposing to limit the land available for timber and mining even more. They don't seem to understand that we are in an economic crisis. Designating more parks and monuments and wilderness areas and wildlife corridors will not get us out of it. What we need is real jobs that produce real products. And that's what will restore our local and national economy. We don't want handouts from the federal government. We want our economy back. Tell that to your senators and congressmen. Give us back our economy. Get government out of the way. And that is about all I have to say, except please sign those petitions because our state legislature wants to take more money out of your pockets to expand government even further. And if anybody wants to check out our local chapter of Americans for Prosperity, we meet every Thursday evening at 6:30 p.m. at Elmer's Restaurant. Thank you very much.